6 points is all that separates Man City and Arsenal going into the crunch match on Sunday. This is going to be one of the best title races I've seen in a few years, I'll be honest with you. Actually, Arsenal did bottle it a couple of years ago as well, so maybe it's similar to that one. But one thing I just want to start about, look, I've already done a bottle jobs video on Arsenal. I don't want to keep drilling it home, even though I would absolutely love to. We saw, obviously, Man City against Chelsea, and Man City actually were pretty flat in the first half. They looked a bit nervous. There was a few misplaced passes. And I was like, crap, man, they're not going to take advantage again. Because every time Arsenal slipped up earlier, like in January and whatnot, Man City also slipped up. But you know what? In the second half, they came out and they just smashed Chelsea off the park. There's a different Man City, and Arsenal are fearful now. But what I really want to focus on in this video is rotation. So I feel as though rotation has become such a big thing in football compared to what it was 20 years ago because of the physical demands of how everything's just gone quicker. People have got stronger, fitter, everything like that. It means that players typically find it hard to play every single game, like if you're getting to the finals of major competitions. And even if you are playing every game, you're not playing every minute of every game. And I think that's really interesting to delve into because Arsenal tend to have a starting 11 and maybe change it by one or two players maximum. And anything after that is a bench player. And what this means is, and Arteta's been really rigid on these starting players, the starting 11. What this means is when he's going into games, these starting players are having to start all of these games. And when you start a game, you're playing majority of the game generally. You're not going to come off before 45 minutes unless you're having a horror show. So a lot of these players who are starting are playing a lot of minutes. And people might point to Arsenal's bench stats, which are amazing in the Prem. I think it's 11 goals and 10 assists off the bench this year, compared to City's 1 goal, 1 assist off the bench, something like that. However, one thing that City have done amazingly well, and I actually think it's by accident, is rotating the starting 11. So, for instance, you don't know if, like, there was a midway through the season where Mamouche was starting, for instance, instead of Haaland, and you had Foden starting a lot of games. So you had like that rotation there. You have the rotation in the back line all the time, sometimes due to injury, sometimes not. What that does is that it means that your rotation players are actually starting games. So the minutes are being spread more evenly and it's just not burdening those starting 11 as much. And I think that we're really seeing sort of the fruits of the labor now for City. And I don't think Pep meant to do that this year. I think he just was trying to find a formula that works. So he just kept rotating players. Oh, let's start this person. Let's start this person. Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Luckily, he's now found, I think, a front six that kind of works, where you have Rodri, Bernardo, and then you have Semenyo, Shirky, Doku, and Haaland. And then with O'Reilly and left back and whatnot, I think that just works. I think he's just stumbled upon it, but it's worked. But what that's meant is that a lot of players are starting games who are on the bench, and they can just come in if someone gets injured. And they've already started a few games, so they've got it in their legs and whatnot. Whereas we've seen it with Arsenal when they've tried to rotate, like they rotated for the FA Cup. People are saying, "Oh, Norgaard's crap." Norgaard hasn't played any games really, has he, this year? Like, how are you expecting someone who's not played much in like 8 months or something to just come out of the blue and be firing on all cylinders? It just makes no sense to me. I think that's where in the past Arsenal have struggled as well. I think that might be the reason as to why Arteta's April win percentage as a manager is the lowest. I think it's 41%, they said, prior to this weekend. So rotation has become massive in football, and you have to take advantage of it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to, I think, perform at the very, very top. And even if you do, you can't do it year in, year out. So, I say that because I think Klopp was quite reliant on a lot of players. But if you notice with Klopp's teams, they couldn't sustain it back-to-back years in terms of, like winning stuff, for instance. I know they had a couple of back-to-back seasons where they went toe-to-toe with City. But in general, like, the brand of football they played and whatnot, it was hard to keep up with. And they did buy players here and there as well, so they did rotate in that sort of sense. But I think that's something that Arsenal really need to think about. People are talking about they've got the best squad or whatever, and I've said it before, they've got the best squad in Europe. But it's only a good squad if you actually use it in the right way. And I just feel as though Arteta just doesn't do that. I think let's just go on the other onto Chelsea now quickly, because they were part of that game. I don't know what Chelsea are doing. I feel like Chelsea are playing Footy Manager, like genuinely. Like this is what I used to do on Footy Manager when I used to play, where you basically just hoard all the youngest wonder kids in the world, and then you loan them out for a few years, and then you hope they come back and they've grown a bit, and then you put them in your first team, and you just phase out your old people. That's not how real football works. You need experience. Experience is something you can't put a label on, essentially. And that's what they're really lacking right now. They have no direction. Even in their managerial position, they've not got an experienced manager. They've got a Rosinha who is a pretty below average Prem player. He was decent in the Championship, but yeah, man, I just don't know for them, man. I feel as though this was a project that the owners wanted to try. I think if it doesn't come to fruition in the next couple of years, I reckon they might just cut their losses and be like, yeah, Chelsea's for sale. And then Jim Ratcliffe, you can go buy Chelsea, bro. Sell your stake, go buy Chelsea. And hopefully that'll force Glazers to sell as well. But yeah, a weird one there. And then I just want to touch upon, before I go, the relegation battle. Sunderland against Tottenham. Even the other ones. Let's talk about West Ham as well, man. West Ham emphatically won on Friday, man. I live right near the stadium. Like, that's how you cope with pressure. That's how you do it. 4-0, man. Like, oh my days. It's taken them out of the relegation spots for now. They are 2 points above Tottenham. Now, in my head, I'm just like, 2 points doesn't sound like a lot. There's 6 games left. Like, surely that's doable. But Tottenham haven't won many points recently. Like, it's hard. They got a draw against Liverpool, was it? And then I've just seen defeat. Like, 2 points is going to be hard, man. And their running's not easy. Well, no game for them is easy, let's be real. I think, you know what it is with Tottenham? So everyone talks about the big six, okay? When you talk about the big six, it was about the teams that essentially were competing for Europe constantly, like European places constantly. But also, the Big Six were also part of the European Super League when that was mooted to get announced. Now, if you look at the other teams in the Big Six, you have Man United, the greatest club in the world. Liverpool, a massive club. As much as I hate to say it, is a massive club. You have Arsenal, which is in the Premier League era has become a massive club as well. You have Chelsea, who have been the most successful English team since the turn of the century, I think it is. Apart from, obviously, I think Man City might have overtaken them now, who knows, but they've been there. Like, they won 2 Champions Leagues in that time, and they've won multiple titles. You got Man City, as we mentioned, like, they've cheated their way to becoming a powerhouse in football. And then you got Spurs. Now, what is the difference between Spurs and the rest? The other ones have all won leagues and stuff in the last 20 years, 25 years. They've won trophies generally, like, fairly regularly, apart from Arsenal the last 5 years. They know how to win. They've built a fan base, a global fan base through winning, through breeding winning culture. Now, Tottenham are a bit of a pretender in this Big Six, because prior to last season's Europa League, the last trophy they won before that, was it the League Cup in 2008? Like, that's not a serial winner. And then prior to that, when was it? I don't even know. Maybe the 90s. That's not a serial winner compared to the rest of them. What Tottenham have done, they've built infrastructure as a big club. They've built an amazing stadium, amazing training ground. They've got their finances in check in terms of, that there's a strict policy in terms of, wages and whatnot. And and they've got a good model in terms of buying and selling players generally under Levy. I don't know how to say Levi, under Daniel Levy. The only bit that they failed on is on the pitch. And the reason is because they've essentially done what Man United have done over the last 10 years, which is when you get a new manager, the manager does not have the same game model, the same idea of football as the previous manager. So then there are players that don't fit into this person's system because they were bought for the last person's system. And then you just kind of get this like botched job of all players. Now, the only reason Man United have not fallen off to the extent that Tottenham have is because we've generally had a couple of world-class players in our squad when that has happened. Tottenham did have that with Harry Kane, Heung-min Son as well. Obviously, Kane left and Son got old. But since then, I can't really think of world-class players that they've had. Apart from, obviously, you're talking about Harry Redknapp days when they had like Gareth Bale and Luka Modric and whatnot. And we've had Bruno Fernandes, for instance, for the last 6 years to pull us, just drag us to whatever we've won. Prior to that, I don't care what anyone says about Paul Pogba. He was world class. You had people like that. We had like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We had Lukaku. Martial on his day was world class. You had Rashford, who was better when he was younger because there was no expectation. But what Tottenham have done is they've just lacked that winning pedigree, and it's because of the way they've made their squad. I fear for Tottenham. I genuinely think they actually might go down now. I didn't think it like before this weekend. They tried to play a bit differently. De Zerbi went with a very like attack approach with regards to like Solanke, Richarlison, and who else was there? Colin Wani. But people like Conor Gallagher, who to this day I don't understand what he does apart from he tries. And when someone describes you as you try hard, that means you're usually shit at everything else. I didn't look. It was cute what he was doing at Crystal Palace when he was on loan from Chelsea. Wow, cool, sick. Went back to Chelsea, got a few games, didn't really work out for him. I don't know what the hell Atletico Madrid saw in him, but I bet Chelsea were like, thank fuck he's gone. And obviously they saw the light by getting rid of him to Tottenham, who are absolute idiots. And apparently they've given him a fat contract as well. I don't know what he does. I genuinely don't like. Why did you sign him? And I can't believe Gareth Southgate, the idiot, used to take this guy to squads as well for international tournaments. Anyway, I just think that Tottenham are down now. It's kind of sad, isn't it? I have a feeling that the ones that are in the bottom three right now are going to stay like that. Tottenham, Burnley and Wolves. I would have loved to have seen Wolves do an escape. That would have been sick, but I don't think it's going to happen now. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick roundup on them kind of games. I could have gone in every single game, but then it just becomes a bloody podcast at that point, doesn't it? But yeah, man, I hope you're enjoying this kind of content. I was going to cover boxing. I'll cover that tomorrow because one of my old mates was on the undercard for the Fury fight. So yeah, I'm going to cover that. But yeah, anything you want to see, please let me know. And please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. And yeah, leave comments down below. What did you think of this weekend? Who do you think is going to win the title? Will Arsenal bottle it to City? Let me know. Peace.